Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Here are the top storylines we're following on this Tuesday. The Barclays gets underway this week. 121 of the top 125 who qualify for the FedEx Cup playoffs will be competing at Bethpage Black. The 100 watch is also on. The top 100 in the FedEx Cup points on Sunday advance to compete in the Deutsche Bank Championship. And it's a field full of star power. Jason Day, Jordan Spieth, Dustin Johnson, and Rory McIlroy among the guys playing for the first time since the PGA Championship. This year marks the 10th edition of the FedEx Cup playoffs. The top 125 in the standings qualified for the first leg. Next week, the top 100 move on to the Deutsche Bank Championship at TPC Boston. From there, 70 players advance to the BMW Championship at Crooked Stick. It's all leading up to the Tour Championship, September 22nd through the 25th at East Lake Golf Club in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, a busy week in golf, and we start with the PGA Tour playoffs. Even though players say they do their best to focus 1 week at a time, they also admit it's hard not to think about that pot at the end of the rainbow, the one holding the $10 million bonus to the overall winner of the playoffs. Now, while many of the favorites chasing the FedEx Cup title have been out of the limelight since the PGA Championship, they're back and they're having it all on the line. Three players have been right in the middle of it. Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson, and Matt Kuchar all stood on the Olympic podium a week and a half ago in Rio to collect their respective medals. George Savarikas joins us live from Bethpage Black with more on the man who took home the gold.
Yeah, Lisa, Justin Rose, his celebration was just getting started that fateful Sunday a couple weeks ago in Rio. Rose then spent the next week going back to England to celebrate with family and friends. He said the coolest part was everyone wants to touch the medal. Even here at Bethpage Black, Rose practicing on Tuesday here of the Barclays, and his fellow pros giving him a congratulations. You see some of the guys coming up to him, giving a hug. Rose had the medal last week, and he said it's one that, he's going to travel around with and get to share with people, really share in the experience. But after having such a long and grueling week, taking home the gold for Great Britain, he now has to refocus himself for the start of the FedEx Cup playoffs.
Henrik did a great job, obviously, after the so-called hangover after the Open Championship, to still bring his best game. And, I think that often we play well in runs out here on tour. You saw Adam Scott at the beginning part of the year put a run together, and, Dustin put a run together in the summer. And, so hopefully I can put a run together myself. I don't think, it shouldn't be one and done. So that's sort of my mentality going into the next few weeks. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for sure. I think quite clearly there's more energy expended for, in terms of everybody wanting to congratulate you, but that brings good energy too. So it depends how you try to see it. I'm gonna try and take the positives from it, feed off it. Obviously I feel confident with my game. It's the first time in a while that I've been in contention, and to put it away was a great feeling. Everyone wants to feel the weight of it. I think that's the unique thing, and that's what's curious about it. Everyone wants to say, oh, how heavy is it? And yeah, you can drink out of the claret jug, and I guess the Olympic gold would be a nice coaster for the glass of wine. So I don't know.
Justin Rose was working with his swing coach Sean Foley today, as was the man who finished second, getting the silver in Rio, Henrik Stenson. He had his swing coach Pete Cowan out here, and Henrik, he's been on a remarkable summer run, winning the claret jug and that silver medal. He took last week off after participating in the Rio Games, but now you wonder, how much does he have left in the tank for a guy who's a past FedEx Cup champion?
It's been a good summer on the golf course, and yeah, heading into the playoffs, we knew it was going to be a very busy year, a lot of golf. I haven't had more than 1 week off at any point since end of May. I haven't touched the club for a week. Last time I played on a golf course, that was that Sunday in Rio. I came out, practiced today, and luckily the ball went up and it went forward. So I guess we got all the right answers that we wanted to. And as you know, the FedEx is it could be a fun thing if you get going, like we've done a couple of times. I came close last year. I didn't play too much golf in the middle of the summer, so I was really fresh. And when probably the other guys felt like I feel now, then I was ready to go last year and had some great tournaments. Even if we are a little low on energy, I think we can still have a good run at it. Bethpage is a course I think fits my game pretty well. It's a tough track, and Boston next week I played well and won in the past also. So yeah, it's exciting times.
And Lisa, a good run would be a bit of an understatement for Henrik Stenson. He, of course, won the FedEx Cup in 2013. Last year, finished second in the Barclays, actually had 3 second-place finishes and a top 10 during the FedEx Cup playoffs. And we haven't forgotten about the guy who won the bronze, Matt Kuchar. We'll hear from him tomorrow.
Pretty incredible run for both players. George, what about some of the guys we haven't seen since the PGA Championship? Has there been any sort of talk of competitive rust?
Yeah, a number of guys have taken 3 weeks off, the players that were noteworthy absences from the Olympics. One would include Dustin Johnson, who, since the PGA Championship, took a couple weeks off to spend some time with his family and just completely hit the reset button in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Dustin, though, getting back to work on Tuesday. He was with swing coach Claude Harmon and trying to get his driver dialed in. He has TrackMan out. He was trying to figure out which shaft would fit which club head for this week at Bethpage Black. Of course, this is a brute of a course, and Dustin uses that driver as quite the weapon off the tee. The other notable guys who got in some work on Tuesday at the Barclays include defending FedEx Cup champion Jordan Spieth, who's coming off his whirlwind media tour he had with Jimmy Fallon, and of course taking a bite out of the Big Apple on the Tonight Show on Monday night. Jordan also out here at Bethpage Black, as was Rory McIlroy. The Rory McIlroy Foundation hosting an event on Monday night, quite the gala. Rory getting in a bit of work, as was world #1 Jason Day. Kind of the theme for these guys, a light load to start things on what's going to be a tough 72 holes to start the FedEx Cup playoffs. Lisa.
George, thank you very much. We are looking for the start of that. And how about the guys right now at the top of the standings? Rory McIlroy not among this group. He's currently 36, but leading the way, no surprise, Jason Day. Dustin Johnson's had an incredible run. Adam Scott was on a great hot streak to start things off. And how about Russell Knox? He didn't qualify automatically for Team Europe, but still 4th in the standings, 20th in the world. But just focusing, Trip, on the top two. Jason Day and his keys. I know how big this is for him and how well he's been playing. His key this week and moving forward.
Well, the putter. Just keep doing what you're doing well. I mean, he putts so beautifully. Leads the tour in strokes gained putting, gaining over a full stroke over the field each and every time he plays on the greens, and it's where he's doing it. From 10 to 15 feet, he's the best on tour. From outside of 20 feet, Lisa, he makes 10% of his putts outside of 25 feet. That's 1 in every 10 putts he has outside of 25 feet he makes. You know, the one hiccup might be, if you're nitpicking in Jason Day's game, is his iron proximity at times can be a little loose. He doesn't hit the ball. It's not that it's going that far left or right. I think it's that the ball doesn't necessarily get flag high, and it's getting better. But look, he's got so many assets. He's got so many weapons. His short game is fantastic. He's a long driver of the golf ball. He's accurate. He's got a solid iron game, as I said, and in particular the short irons. He's got a lot going for him, but when it comes to his performance on the greens, he's #1 for a reason, because he's #1 in that category by quite a bit. And Jason Day, I think he can ride that putter all the way to the FedEx Cup.
What about Dustin Johnson? So many similarities between these two guys. 3 wins this season for Day, 2 wins for DJ, but like Day, obviously, DJ's a long hitter of the golf ball, but an incredible short game that sometimes gets overlooked.
That is exactly right. And the big improvement for DJ is the improvement that he has done with his wedge game. Now, he leads the tour in proximity to the hole, either from the rough or the fairway. Why is that? Well, when you can drive the ball as close to the green as he does, even if you're in the rough, he can hit the wedges close. And this is the area where he spent some time working on his distance control from 50 to 125 yards. For most of this season, he was first in that category. And oh, by the way, he slipped all the way down to 7th in that category. Look, when you can drive the ball as far as he does, the wedges are a huge asset. Now he's turning them into a weapon. The driver, you don't want to take that out of DJ's hands. And when you look at the rotation of what they're playing, Bethpage, a big ballpark, big golf course, that's going to play into his hands. And of course, at TPC Boston next week, that certainly will help. And then Crooked Stick, that is a bomber's paradise. I mean, that's where John Daly won the PGA, we know how it lends itself to long hitters. So I definitely think DJ in this rotation and the way he's playing with the confidence of that first major on his resume, DJ could clearly factor. And he's been in the top 5 a couple of times going into the final at Eastlake a couple of times in his career. I guarantee you he's probably going to be one of those 5 players with a chance to win.
And he's added that little baby cut to the game too.
Beautiful.
Off the tee. So
Makes
we saw how well it
accurate.
works. Yes, it certainly does, Tripp. Thank you very much. Well, still a lot ahead. Ryder Cup implications on the line. This is the last week to secure an automatic spot on Team USA. 5 guys are set, but 3 guys could still move out. We'll talk about that, plus the best of Jordan Spieth on Jimmy Fallon. Does it get any better than this? Fallon and Spieth and marshmallows? What else can he say?
Golf Central is brought to you by the new Titleist NXT Tour and NXT Tour S. Innovation that matters. Grip Confidence. Grip Golf Pride.